Welcome back to another episode of Lone Star College Football. Today, we're going to be discussing the transfer portal yet again. We posted a video just a few days on it, and there's been a lot to go down since then. Since that day, if you haven't checked that video out, we will link it in the description as well as at the end of this video, and you can go check it out. But since then, we've had one more player from the Longhorns go into the portal, offensive lineman Logan Parr. Really, I don't know as if he saw the field at all. So losing him, it sucks because that's depth at offensive line. But he wasn't a immediate contributor. And so best of luck to him wherever he goes. Just real quick, I'm going to recap who else went in the portal. But all the real stats and info, if you want, is in that other video that we'll link. Hudson Card is a name. Troy O'Meary, Andre Carrick, Prince Dorba, DJ Harris, and JD Coffey and Jameer Johnson. So those are our, I think that's 7 or 8 players who have so far entered their name into the portal. Xavier Worthy is not one of those names as of this moment. In the other video, I also discussed a couple guys that we would be targeting. I'll say their names, and then you can check out the video for their intangibles. Oregon receiver Donta Thornton, receiver out of Missouri Dominic Lovett is another name. Stanford defensive back Jonathan McGill, and DB from Cincinnati JQ Hardaway. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and get into I think I've got like 12 or 14 more names that it seems like Texas is interested in, none the least. Before we get into that, please do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are at like 133 subscribers, growing faster than we could have hoped for. We appreciate all of y'all. And if you like Texas football, consider joining us. With that being said, I'm going to start just at the receiver position because there's a few receivers that are in the portal that it seems like Texas is targeting. Like I said before, Xavier Worthy is still at the program, but he kind of gave the coaching staff, from what I'm reading from the sources that I've heard, that he's kind of given them not really an ultimatum, but his desires. And his desire is that we get another receiver who can match his talent and pull. He's able to pull coverages off of him. So, with that being said, the guys that are in the portal currently that Texas is going after, I'll give you my number one target at the receiver position is wide receiver Dorian Singer out of Arizona. He is 6'1", 185 pounds. He's a sophomore this year, so next year he'll be a junior. I'm not sure if he has a redshirt year or not, but he had 66 receptions for 1,105 yards and 6 touchdowns as a sophomore in Arizona. That's solid. Honestly, if he could come in, I think out of all the receivers, this is the guy that I probably feel like he could be the biggest contributor. There's one more that I'll get to at the end of the receivers, who would be my number 2 target at receiver position. Another receiver is Ryan O'Keefe out of UCF. He's 5'10", 175. He is a senior this year. So since he's in the portal, that tells us he's using his COVID year or he redshirted. He had 23 receptions for 222 yards and no touchdowns. 5'10", 175. He's kind of undersized. I feel like we need a bigger guy than that. Like, where do you put him? Because Xavier Worthy's an outside receiver. Jordan Whittington's a slot receiver. So really, if we're looking for a number 3 guy, we're probably looking for an outside receiver. Which brings us to another smaller guy, JoJo Earl out of Bama. He's 5'10", 177. He's a sophomore. 12 receptions, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Once again, smaller guy. He's from Alabama. Alabama's not really been that good to us in the portal. We've gotten a few guys, and Keelan Robinson's really the only one who has been able to come into our program and make a difference. We got a Jai Hall. He didn't do much. We got Ben Davis at linebacker last season. He didn't do really anything. So a lot of times, in my mind, the first year I was like, yeah, or first 2 years, I was like, yeah, they're from Bama. You know, they're not starting, but they're still solid players. That doesn't always seem to be the case. However, another receiver out of Alabama, Trayshawn Holden, he's 6'3", 213. He's a junior, 25 receptions, 331 yards, and 6 touchdowns. If we were going to get a receiver from Bama, I think Trayshawn Holden would be the one I would choose. But currently, as it sits, he's probably my number 3 prospect on the board right now. Wide receiver Dakotas Crawford out of Nebraska, 6 foot, 180. He's a true freshman this year. He has no stats. He did not see the field at all, which means he has a red shirt on him. Most likely has a red shirt. So he could be a guy that would be neat to get because he has so much eligibility left. I don't know as if he's a guy who comes in and plays immediately and after sitting out his freshman year when I don't think he was planning on doing so. Kind of tells you he's probably not. Texas might be going after him, but he's probably not all that interested. The other receiver, I told you that Dorian Singer from Arizona is probably the one I'd go after the hardest. The other one is Barrion Brown out of Kentucky. He's 6'1". So his size, his height is good, but he is underweight at 166. However, he is also a freshman, 45 catches, 604 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So he has a lot of eligibility. He's showing as a freshman that he can play football and at a high level. So I think he should be somebody we should go after. We've got a couple of defensive back targets, one being defensive back Gavin Holmes out of Wake Forest. He's 5'11", 175. He's a sophomore this year. He has 17 solo tackles, 7 assisted tackles, 24 total tackles, 9 passes defended, and 1 forced fumble. As a sophomore, it's kind of tough to see how much did he play. 24 total tackles isn't a ton, but 9 passes defended and a forced fumble, that's not bad. And so I'd have to get a snap count on him to see how was he doing that, because from the looks of it, tackles versus passes defended, it seems like in coverage, he's a really good defensive back for coverage, maybe not the best open field tackler. Other cornerback, Fintrell Cypress II from Virginia. I like this guy. He's 6 foot, 187. He's a junior. He's an upperclassman. He had 28 solo tackles, 11 assisted tackles, so that's 39 total tackles, and he had 13 passes defended. So I would say that out of the two, I would probably rather Fintrell Cypress II over Gavin Holmes. It's not much of a difference as far as the intangible goes. I mean, he's 6 foot versus 5'11", 187 versus 175, but he's an upperclassman. He's a junior. He'll be a senior next year, and 13 passes defended is pretty nice. Moving on to the linebacker position, this is my number 1 target. Out of everybody in the portal that Texas is targeting, this is the guy that I think we should get the most. And that would be linebacker out of Oregon, Justin Flo. He's 6'3", 220 pounds. He's a freshman. He did not play a ton, but he ended up with 14 solo tackles, 21 assisted tackles for a total of 45. That's not right. 35 total tackles. Freshman. He's going to be a sophomore next year. He's got a lot of eligibility. He's 6'3", 220. That is great size for the linebacker position. I haven't watched too much film on him, but I've seen a little. He seems like he can be a sideline-to-sideline type of linebacker. So I think, especially since we're losing DeMarvion Overshown, this has to be our number 1 target. Another linebacker in the portal that we seem to show a little bit of interest in is linebacker Clayton Smith out of Oklahoma. He is 6'4", 231. He's a freshman as well with way less stats. He had 3 solos, 2 assists for 5 total tackles. He's kind of a guy that you can't really look at his stats or any game like film and say, yep, we should go after him. But 6'4", 231, he's a big dude. I almost wonder if he could play maybe like a linebacker edge rusher kind of guy. And I think that if that's the case, that could be fun for the Longhorns. One more linebacker, we have Tyler Grubb out of LA Tech. He is 6'1", 223 pounds. He's got the most stats, 24 solo tackles, 25 assists, 49 total, and 1 pass defended. I think he's a sophomore, so he'll be a junior next year. He'll be an upperclassman. He's probably the most proven. I just think Justin Flo has the most potential as far as these targets go. Finally, the last two, we have two offensive linemen, both from Alabama. One of them is Tommy Brockermeyer. Now, he's a guy that was recruited heavily by the Longhorns. His parents went to Texas. His brother, Luke Brockermeyer, is a linebacker at Texas. He was recruited by Kyle Flood to Alabama. He is 6'5", 304 pounds, and he is a true freshman. I kind of doubt we go after him just because we haven't gotten a single offensive lineman in the portal in the last two cycles. And seeing the growth that we've had at offensive linemen, I kind of doubt that Kyle Flood and Steve Sarkisian are like, yep, this is the year we're going to take one. We might. I don't know as if we have to. He's a left tackle, which – but center guard yeah, he's a left tackle. Kelvin Banks is our left tackle. He's not going to start over Kelvin Banks. So really the question is, how is he able to play at other offensive line positions? Because there's no chance he comes in and starts over Kelvin Banks. So that'll probably be the factor in his whether or not we fully go after him. And last but not least, we have left guard Javion. I don't have his last name here for some reason. Javion, last name starts with a C. Out of Alabama, 6'4", 305. Once again, another big dude. He's a junior. He's an upperclassman. He'll be a senior next year. The left guard position, I'm trying to remember who's our current left guard. For some reason, his name is slipping my mind. But let me just pull it up real quick because I'm not going to be able to think about it off the top of my mind. Offensive line, once again, it's the same situation. Offensive line, we have not really targeted in the offseason as far as the portal is concerned. We've gotten our guys through the recruiting out of high school, and that's working for us. You know, we had Cole Hudson and Kelvin Banks as true freshmen starting this year. They all season. They played well all season. There's no real reason to think that this is the year that we're going to all of a sudden start going after offensive linemen. Yeah, this just says their O-line. It doesn't tell me what position. Yeah, I can't off the top of my head remember who it was. But with that being said, if y'all made it this far, that's the end of who I have right now. As soon as more names are put out, I'll do the research and get the stats, and I'll come back and make another recruiting video. But with that being said, please do us a favor. Check us out on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook, and consider following us, subscribing to the channel. We are growing as fast as honestly, faster than we thought we would. And that's all because of y'all. So we do appreciate that. And we hope to grow more and more. Leave us comments on what y'all want us to cover, and we will do our best to get to all of them. Appreciate y'all rocking with us.